Well, hey, you guys. So, no matter what the latest stats are saying when it comes to inflation or the housing market, one thing that has always been true is that too many people are living paycheck to paycheck. And this has always been the case ever since I've been in this world for 15 years of personal finance. It's always a high percentage of people. And here's the deal: at all income levels, all ages, we see that this can be true because people can stretch their income so far to basically like exactly what they need. And then there's no margin left over, which tells me for sure it's not always about the money that's the problem. Sometimes it's about the person handling the money, because building wealth has always been about behavior more than a specific dollar amount. So today I want to share exactly what I mean by all of this. And here are 9 steps to stop living paycheck to paycheck and finally achieve some peace around your money. And stick around because number 9 is more mental than tactical, and it may be something that you've never considered before. So make sure you hear that one out. All right, let's get going. So step 1 to stop living paycheck to paycheck is to get on a budget. Now, if you've been following me at all, you know this is always in my top, tips always with stuff, because this is the thing, you guys. The budget is the thing that is going to help you have a plan for your money. Because I think it's one of the biggest mistakes people make is they're not intentional with their money. They're not sure exactly where every single dollar is going. And then what ends up happening is you just end up spending without realizing where or what you're spending on. And then naturally that paycheck to paycheck lifestyle can continue. But when you can plan out where things are going, where your money is going, then you can cut back on different areas intentionally to create that margin and stop living paycheck to paycheck. So if you have not made a budget with EveryDollar, make sure to do that. You can go to everydollar.com/Rachel and make sure to create your first budget if you haven't already, because this is going to help you again get out of that cycle. All right, step 2 is to take care of your 4 walls. So these are the 4 most important things that you have to have in our world. We talk about needs versus wants, and a lot of our wants have kind of drifted into our needs. So you really want to take those apart and focus on what you need in life and put that at the top of your budget. Again, these are your 4 walls. It's food, shelter, utilities, and transportation. So those are the 4 things that you have to survive, to at least have this foundation under you to know, okay, everything, my house isn't gonna be taken away, or it's not that I'm behind on rent, or my lights are getting cut off. Like all of that stuff puts you in a really bad tailspin. So again, making sure your food, shelter, utilities, and transportation are covered first and foremost. And then on your budget, it's everything else. All right, step 3 to stop living paycheck to paycheck is to cut extra expenses. So if you have things in your life, again, this could be some wants that have kind of like merged with needs, really, take those apart and say, okay, what are things that I don't have to survive? These are streaming services, memberships, subscriptions, eating out, shopping, going on Amazon, on the Amazon app. Like these kind of things, sometimes it's like we just end up spending money because it's just there. And when you trim all that back, even if it's, $200-$300 a month, that's significant, you guys. It really is. So cutting back things that you don't need is going to help you. Step 4 is to start an emergency fund. So it is so easy to live paycheck to paycheck because if something happens, and if you have any margin, you just dip right into that and you just build no savings. So having savings is huge. So your emergency fund is really your safety net between you and life. So if you are finding margin in your budget, this is the first thing I want you to do is I want you to get a $1,000 emergency fund. Having cash in the bank and letting you be your emergency fund is so massive when it comes to cutting this cycle. And then once you have that and you pay off debt, then you can bump that up to 3 to 6 months of expenses saved in the bank. Step 5 is to ditch debt. That's right. Get it out of here, you guys. I mean, if you cut out a car payment that's $600 a month, you pay off your student loans, that could be $300 a month. Like you start to add up some of these payments. And if that's money back in your pocket, that could be $1,000 easily in just payments that you're paying out. So getting out of debt is really huge. But how I want you to do that is by the debt snowball. And this is where you're going to list out all of your debts, smallest to largest, regardless of the interest rate, pay minimum payments on everything and attack that smallest debt first. Then once that's paid off, all the money you're putting towards that over to your second smallest debt. And you keep moving up, moving up, moving up until you're debt-free. And we find people doing the debt snowball method get out of debt in 18 to 24 months on average, which seems insane because there can be so much debt. But listen, if you cut out everything in your budget, you take an extra job, like you create some serious sacrifice for a short amount of time, it's amazing what can happen with all that momentum. And then once you don't have payments, you have margin, and that paycheck to paycheck living really does stop. All right, step 6 is to increase your income. So I just mentioned this when it comes to getting out of debt, and that could be taking on a side hustle, like whatever you have to do again to create some of that extra income is big. But I think what's really key is you want to get to a place where you don't feel like you have 2 side hustles and your main job just to survive on your basic, basic living expenses. So being able to look at your actual career and like the job that you have and saying, hey, am I getting paid market value? Maybe there's another opportunity with a different company that would pay me more. Some of these questions start asking yourself because you can get a large bump in salary. And again, don't just chase the money constantly, but make sure you're getting paid for what you're worth. Step 7 is to live below your means. So you have to be in a habit of living below your income, because if you don't and you continue to live at your income or right above it, then you're never going to get out of that paycheck to paycheck cycle. It's going to be this constant, like, we are spending what we have versus saying, hey, this is what we're making and we're not going to spend 10% of it, 8% of it, like whatever it is, like find even a percentage just to say, let's try to save this amount and live below it. And when you start doing that and that becomes a habit, as your income increases, that will continue to be your lifestyles. You're able to say, we'll up our lifestyle a little bit, but we're always going to live below our means. And that's going to give you so much peace. Step 8 is to save up for big purchases. So when you think of things like, this could be anything from, a TV or a refrigerator to a car, like things that just cost a more substantial amount of money. A lot of people are used to just going into debt for it. And it's like, yeah, of course you would. That's what you do. Who has a couple of $1,000s just laying around? But when that's your mindset, and again, you go back into debt and you start using your income to pay payments, that is money that is not working for you. And so getting in the habit of saying, okay, I'm probably going to delay some gratification for this big purchase and actually save up for it and create a sinking fund even in your budget. Have a line item that says, new refrigerator or whatever it is. And it's like, okay, let's save up, a couple $100 a month towards this because we're going to need to replace it in 5 months or whatever. You can do the math, but just to realize that you can look ahead and actually plan out for some of these purchases. And it may mean that you're going to purchase it later than you really want to. But again, it's giving you the power of using cash instead of getting back into that payment cycle, which is just terrible. All right, before I share about number 9, I want to share about one of our sponsors. So you guys, scammers are everywhere. It's crazy. And I'll admit it, I fell for one not too long ago. I was distracted. I got a text from USPS, like, your package is lost, so you need to pay 30 cents to the carrier because your home address was messed up and blah, 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 blah. Have a great day. And I was like, oh my God, USPS, they're so nice. And I went through it all, y'all. God, I can't believe it. And that night, my husband was like, babe, that was a scam. And I was like, no. So listen, they're everywhere. And I will fully admit, I have fell for them. And what is terrible is because most of the time, it's because your information is out there and data brokers will take your cell phone number, your email addresses, all of the stuff, and go and scam you. And it's terrible. This is why I use and recommend Delete Me. And this gives me such peace of mind because Delete Me finds and removes your personal info, like your home address, phone number, so much more from hundreds of data broker websites out there. That again, there's scammers, there's spammers, online thieves, all of this stuff, you guys, and all of the time that it would take to remove your information, Delete Me does it for you. Now, I'm not saying that, USPS wouldn't necessarily have texted me. Who knows how they got my number, but I'm telling you, when you join Delete Me and you look through their profile and where all of your information is, because this is what I've done, it is crazy. All the websites of who has your address or your past address or who knows that you're related to your parents. It's just crazy how much our information is out there. So to protect your information, go to joindeleteme.com/Rachel for 20% off. That's joindeleteme.com/Rachel. All right, now that I mentioned earlier, this final step of not living paycheck to paycheck is a little different than the others because it's not like a concrete action that you can do. It's not like, oh, go and open up your every dollar budget and do this task. Instead, I want you to remember what I said at the beginning of this episode. Behavior is the most important factor. And one behavior that you absolutely have to put into practice along with managing your money is managing your mindset, because this is what will propel you forward as you work the baby steps. And this will also bring you back to the whole reason why you decided to pursue your money goals in the first place. So step 9 is to remember your why. When you want to be wise with your money and you say, okay, I want to get in control of this area of my life, there's usually a reason why. And it may be stress and anxiety. It may be, oh my gosh, I just got married. Or maybe it's we had our first kid. Or maybe it's, gosh, I'm just tired of working this job and I feel like I have to because I have to pay bills. Like whatever that why is that you think, I want to get in control of this part of my life, have your mindset around that, because that's going to help propel you, again, step by step. And in the times where it's hard and the sacrifice is deep, knowing your why is so crucial. Be sure to check out my episode on how to save your first $100,000. All right, you guys, remember to take control of your money and create a life you love.